Indeed, dear friend of truth, here we are today, this being our Wednesday version of this thing of ours. Don't even know where to start. But I'm going to give you a review, a kind of a compilation, if you will, an adumbration, a review of everything that you need to know. I hope separate and distinct from what you're seeing on regular stories. I'm going to tell you this right now. Remember this. Let's start off with this affirmation, this pledge, okay, and this realization. We are like 40 days, 40, 41. Sometimes people say 41, some say 40. Either way, we are that far from the election. Understand what I'm saying? We are that far. You must stop watching cable news, Fox, CNN, MSDNC, OAN. I mean, it's good. It's interesting. Newsmax. It's different. It's trying to give you a narrow-casted view of what's going on. You want to know the truth. Sometimes the truth is good. Sometimes it's beneficial. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's really not good at all. Sometimes the truth really stinks, but you want to know it because you're an adult. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about reality in a cold, hard, naked way. I don't know how to say this in any event other than that, in a cold, naked way. So, my friends, get ready, buckle up, make sure you are subscribed to Lionel Nation, and sit back, and we're going to go as long as I think you're with me. Sometimes I think I'm going too long, and I start to see this, and as soon as I see that, I think, it's time to go. Let me let you go about and do your thing and perhaps maybe research, because remember, this is just part of what your daily intake should be. But first, my friend, this important word from our important sponsor. Digestive issues are caused by a potential toxin that's in all of the, quote, healthy foods that scientists have been telling us to eat, with a fraudulent food pyramid for the longest time. And this potential toxin causes digestive issues, according to Dr. Stephen Gundry, a world-renowned cardiologist. This is affecting millions of people nationwide, and the warning signs include weight gain and fatigue and digestive discomfort and stiff joints, even skin problems. Well, Dr. Gundry explains these side effects are often mistaken for normal signs of aging because digestive issues develop usually over a matter of years and sometimes even decades. And I can assure you that the damage is probably caused by these, quote, health foods, and is far from normal. The good news, you can easily help fix the problem from your own home. It is very simple. You just have to know which foods are actually healthy and which contain this hidden potential toxin. You can go and find out about this yourself at gutcleanseprotocol.com/Lionel. That's gutcleanseprotocol.com/Lionel. And you can click in the descriptive link below in this video. Because after years of research, Dr. Gundry has decided to release an informative video to the public, free and uninterrupted, showcasing exactly which foods you need to avoid. So go find that video right now at gutcleanseprotocol.com/Lionel and click the link in the description below. Okay, my friends, here we go. Let me start off with this, again, this reminder, this affirmation. I don't want to talk about anything other than the truth. When I talk to people who say, don't worry, Trump's going to make it, he's going to win by a landslide, I leave these people and say, why are you saying that? Because I want it to be true. Well, I want a lot of things to be true too, but that's not going to do it. Why are you saying that? I don't know. It's just stop it. Stop it. I think those people are just as wrong and just as negative as people who say, "Oh, he's terrible." There's got to be a balance. Let me remind you of how this thing works. This is like nothing else. We normally don't have this thing called an election. We have audience participation. We have a lot of, ratings and things like that, but we don't have anything like this. This is completely different. This is not about left. It's not about right. It's not about communism or socialism or Marxism or welfare state. It's nothing. It's nothing like that. You're trying to give names. Calling Kamala is stupid or whatever. It doesn't help anything. It may be true, but it doesn't help anything. That's not it. What do you believe? How do you believe? I have some folks who, if you listen to them, they say, oh, don't worry, the internal polling. I'm going to say this again to you. If they steal it, it's all over. And that's it. And nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. They'll go before, they'll file some lawsuits, and you'll be called a lunatic, you'll be called a crazy person, and nothing will happen. 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 Do you hear what I'm saying? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing will happen. I'm sorry to say this to you, but they won't do anything. You understand this. The Republicans aren't going to do anything. Jim Jordan's not going to do anything. Nobody's going to do anything. So let me just explain this to you. If they decide to steal it, and you'll never know because they won't investigate, they won't look into it. They're not looking into it now. There was a study yesterday we talked about. I think it was South Carolina. They were asking why haven't voter rolls and the like been turned over, and we don't know. We don't know. They don't know. Nobody knows. It's the damnedest thing. So short of that, short of that rather, he's most probably going to win. But just remember that everything else is just okay. That's it. And it's a real and an absolute truth. Now, there are some people, I don't know why people don't care about certain things. I ran across this, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to find her. If you can find this woman's name, it's very, very good. She talks about glyphosate. Remember when we cared about food? Remember Rachel Carson? Remember a Silent Spring? Remember all that stuff years ago? Remember that? Remember that? I love this. Johnny Ballgame, you're the best. It is gonna happen. What is? What? This is the most, I'm fascinated. It's like, these are bumper stickers where you say, what does that mean? Who? You're gonna crash. I sometimes I stop. I don't want to read a lot of things, but I want to call attention. Sometimes I don't understand what do you mean? Somebody will write, yes. Yes, what? Who? What are you talking about? Who? It's like when you talk to somebody who uses the word, like if there's 3 or 4 people in a conversation. Well, he came in and he said, who, he, who? There's 4 he's here. Give me a name. You can't say he. You can't, things like that. The thing. I like Uncle Sham. I like that. That thing we're talking about. That whatever. I'm just going to write something. Yes. I don't know. Maybe. What are you saying? I don't know. Anyway, watch this and ask yourself why nobody seems to care about this.
Is the U.S. government subsidizing the most pesticide-sprayed crops using taxpayer dollars? These are the exact foods that are driving the epidemic of chronic disease. Glyphosate is classified as a carcinogen by the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer. They're finding glyphosate in human breast milk, placentas, our organs, and even sperm. It's also being found in our rain and our drinking water. Glyphosate still isn't labeled on our food. Parents in America are unknowingly feeding their children these toxic foods. Meanwhile, Bayer is doing everything it can to keep consumers in the dark while our government protects these corporate giants. They know that their product is harming people. Chronic illnesses are on the rise, and half of our population is obese. This is a national security issue. 77% of young Americans are ineligible for military service. We have industrialized our food at the expense of our health, prioritizing profits over people to the point where our bodies can no longer cope with this chemical assault. We must stop subsidizing the foods that make us sick. We must prioritize people over profit. This isn't just about policy, it's about survival. Let's create a future where our food system is designed to nourish us and not destroy us. Thank you.
Now, that's great, right? Nobody cares. Good luck. Have a nice day. Nobody cares about that. You're wasting your time. Pilgrim Media says, top of the morning to you, counselor, balls and strikes. Again, I think that means maybe I'm doing balls and strikes, or we should I don't know what that means, but thank you. Thank you for that. Human behavior rule 101. We talk about stuff. We are the best when it comes to diets. Well, paleo. Well, so and so reversed his cancer by eating nothing but meat, by raw meat. Do you do that? No. What is the purpose? I have no idea. Somebody ate an egg a day for 4 days. Soy is, and we just talk about it all day long. We don't do anything about it, but we talk about it. And diet is the best. Diet, there's nothing more. People will go crazy about diet. Do you do anything? Oh, no. Well, moderation. Are you moderate? No, I just say stuff. In this country, we just talk about it. So anyway, what you just saw right there is an example of what happens. This is regarding alleged cancer-causing stuff being sprayed. Nobody's going to do anything. And you're going to worry about an election? You're going to think they're going to come out and do something about an election? Nothing. We don't do anything. We don't react to anything. I don't know how to say this to you. Americans don't care about anything. Now, this is the best one for you ever. This is, if I were Trump, and I know people just, oh my God. Enough with the rallies. The rallies have hit critical mass. I don't, they're risking his life. They're expensive. I would have this very simple. I believe in putting together a thought with a concept and making you work it out together. Edward Bernays, years ago, you know the story. They wanted to Virginia Slims. They said, we want, after World War II, we have this is the smoking industry, tobacco industry. We want to figure a way how to get women involved in smoking. What do we do? And Bernays said, okay, I think I've got it. And he put together this idea, this plan, this idea, so to speak, where this is very interesting. He collected, how do I say this? He said that you have earned your independence, lady. I think he called them freedom torches or something. Remember, I don't know if you're old enough, they had, when Virginia Slims, these real thin cigarettes. They were real thin. What's the point of this? But anyway, real thin. And it said something to the effect of, you've come a long way, baby, to get where you're going today. You've got your own cigarette now, baby. You've come a long, long way. Remember that one? Sam Whiskey says she has the personality of a corporate lawyer, not a courtroom lawyer. Okay. All right. Very good. Interesting. Thank you. So what Bernays did was he took this concept, this thing, which is not very healthy for you, but made people put the connection, say, oh, I see. Oh, I see. So this is interesting. So this is I got it. It's for lack of a better word, a connection being made. Okay. You got it? Doesn't matter whether cigarettes are good for you, whatever. They took the idea of freedom and women and liberation and connected it. Okay? Good. This is what I would have as my picture for the Biden. I would say Biden-Harris, though we've forgotten Biden. But let's just call it the Harris administration.
Right, back at it again, man. Mr. Lean with it, rock with it, man. I mean, what the hell?
Now, this is fascinating. Watch this. Let me turn this sound, if you will, down. I want you just to watch this. This, I call it urban Tai Chi. This is part of either trank or something. This is where people are paralyzed. How they can maintain this is beyond anybody. Look at this. These are urban zombies. How does this work? Look at this. People around him are moving. You think that this is some freeze frame. Look, they're moving around. He is frozen in this. This could be Kensington, Pennsylvania. This could be whatever it was. Let me just understand. This is what I would do. This is the picture I would say. This is what the Biden-Harris administration is giving you. This is it. They can't stop this. You've got cities. I'm not done with it yet. You can take all the rallies you want. You can take all the whatever, and just let me do this, and let me just say, this is what happens. And this never happened during the Trump administration. And this is a combination of new drugs coming in over the border, but a systematic decline in focus, a systematic design to destroy our cities, a collective, deliberate, intentional plan to destroy. This is becoming the face of America. This was a young man, as my mother would say, this one day was a cute little baby. Look at this. This is all over the place. And we just stare at him. We don't do anything. This is the face. Every single day, I would have had this blanketed. I would have had this would be my, Daisy. This is it. It's shocking. You stare at it. You talk about it. You retweet it. You repost it. You marvel at it. You stare at it again. It's like the first time you've ever seen crime scenes. Probably you've never seen, but they're very interesting. Most of you have never seen them because this is a real crime scene, a real murder scene, a real whatever. This is what this is. You could take all your rallies. I want to give people something to look at and something to think about and say, this is it. One more time. I know this sounds crazy. This. Prior to the Biden administration, prior to the collapse of the border, this was unheard of. We never saw this. I think I saw one time years ago, once there was this. It was early in the morning. He was coming from the gym, and I look, and I'm seeing people got out of their car, and they say, "What is this?" It was a young girl. She was just sitting, just like frozen. It was one time. This was years ago. Never saw it again. This is all over. This is Kensington. This is Philadelphia. Do you know how easy it is to stop this? But they don't want to stop it because they want you to see. They want you to get used to it. They want to acclimate and habituate you to the decline, to the total decline of reality and normalcy. That's what this is about. Let people know what this is. Let them explain it. Let them explain it. This is what I want to do. I guarantee you they will stop what they're doing. CNN will do it. Fox will do it. Harris. I'm sure she's a lovely woman. That is the scariest show. I don't even. But anyway, I guarantee they would be saying, did you see this? Who is this man? This is America. They would have to stop and refute it and fact check it. There's another one too. Crypto Domini says, I saw it in Virginia, Pennsylvania, and California prior to Biden. Well, we're not going to say this, Crypt. You understand that, right? That kind of defeats the purpose. Here we go. Look at this. Ha, 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 ha. What does this mean? What are you laughing at? I don't know. I'm just curious. I don't understand it. This is I'm the only one who says, what are you writing? It's like if you, sometimes with graffiti, you say, what is that? Oh, it's an initial. Oh, okay. Believe me, I'm doing this live show, but I'm also a participant because I read what you're saying. And now you do realize, Crypto, that we don't say that out loud. Crypto says it should be a crime. They don't do anything. Yes. But if somebody, look at this, you're funny, Y-O-U-R, Y-O-U, not Y-O apostrophe R-E. This is when we need the apostrophe, not now, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now, another thing too, I would focus, again, you can take your rallies away, trip to the grocery store. I'm so done with them. They're so old. It doesn't mean anything. I want there to be a deluge of this.
Did y'all see Uncle Trump at the grocery store?
Now listen to her. Listen to her and listen carefully. Okay? I don't want you to make any comments as far as, do you understand it? Do you like? Nope, 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 no. It's the message. Listen to how cool it is now to enjoy and to appreciate Uncle Trump, as they say.
Did y'all see Uncle Trump at the grocery store? In these streets, for real? Helping people, relating to people, and understanding what they're going through. That is what a president is. That is what the people should want. That is what the people require. Someone that cares.
That means more to me than any rally. That goes out into, again, I don't know why, because we're so busy doing it. Well, let's go to the grocery store. Hey, here's $100. Okay, fine. By the way, can you give somebody $100? I guess maybe you can, maybe you can't. I know this. I know this is fireside chat talk. This goes back to square one. Let me try and explain again to you what I'm trying to accomplish. This changed my life. This is a murmuration. A murmuration, these are starlings. And starlings move in these collectives called murmurations because they kind of like hum. It was like a murmur. And it's only a few of them who are actually running the show, but the rest actually follow each other based upon the rule of 7. You're in the middle, you have 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. And as long as you sit flying next to the person next to you, you will do fine. Nobody will veer off and lose the configuration, no matter where you turn, no matter where you go. It's thought to conserve energy, to throw off predators. This is the way people think. That's the perfect example of this collective human psychology. This is it. I agree. YouTube blocks messages, though. Excellent. I wouldn't know. Okay. Now, this is a woman named, hang on a minute. This is another one I liked very, very much. And I'm always looking for people that I would, because we need recruiting. We need a bench. We need a bench. We need somebody out there to go out and say, this is kind of what we need. We need a bench. We need someone to explain what is happening. By the way, there was a great AI parody of Seinfeld and Kamala, the likes of which you can't believe. But as far as I know, it may violate some rule. Who knows? Now, this is a woman too. Have you seen her name is Sage Steele? And she was at the airport, and she needs to be either recruited or something to provide another voice, another. I want to get away from the Alina Habas, the Margot Martins, the Hope Hicks, the usual. I'm sorry to say this, ladies and gentlemen, but if you can't read the obvious, I can't help you. This is Ms. Steele.
The airport in Nashville, I just wanted to share with you because this has happened so many times over the last couple of days. A woman about my age, a black woman, came up and wanted to tell me how scared she is for herself, her family, and our country if Kamala Harris is elected. I've been here in Tennessee, I've been in Mississippi, I've been in Texas, and I've been in Atlanta over the last week. The number of black people who've come up to me and said exactly that is astounding. And their message is, what do they think? We all vote the same and aren't smart enough to think for ourselves, aren't smart enough to bring an ID to vote? You guys, it's so sad, but it's good that there's a groundswell for this. And I just wanted everybody out there, people who look like me and people who don't, to know you are not alone. And you got to do something about that fear. You can't just sit quietly, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, and do not allow them to take you for granted because of the color of your skin. So we got a fight on our hands, and I just hope and pray that you guys get out there and vote to do the right thing. Don't vote on personality or feelings. Vote on policy and what's best for our country. So you're not alone.
I want to target, what did I say before? Black, Latino, gay. They are just ignored Instead, it's the same people. It's the Fox News crowd. The Brad writes, that was so funny with the face. Isodetui face. I don't know what was funny with the face. I don't know what that means. Thank you. I have no idea. I'm serious. I don't understand what that means, but thank you. I'm thanking you for, I don't know what. Did anybody think this fellow frozen? Is that what you're talking about? Do you think that's funny? Does anybody think that's funny? I'm just curious. Do you think that's funny to see a man like that frozen? Do you think that's funny? When you look at that, do you laugh? Do you laugh at that? Do you think that's funny? I'm serious. It's okay if you do. If you say, you know, that's funny. Look at that guy. He doesn't fall over like that. This is a man who is, how do you remain frozen and maintain balance? Everybody else, when you get drunk or how you fall over, you lose balance, you lose coordination. His brain, his coordination centers are locked in. He doesn't tip over. Somewhere his propriocentric connections are working. It's interesting. It's almost like a gyroscope. How does that work? Do you think that's funny? What does this mean? Complete uninteresting. I don't know what that means. I don't know what is. Again, what is what complete uninteresting? I don't know what that is. But again, this is critical. The Brad says, the Seinfeld TikTok, that you were just talking about. Yes. I don't know if this violates rules because it's AI, but it is so brilliant. And you know it's not Kamala Harris. You know it because she was never in Seinfeld, but it goes to show you the next level of parody. Now, let me explain to you something also, which is interesting. There is a person that the right to lifers hate. Okay. There is a person that I don't use the word hate, but there is a kind of a Trump person that I don't particularly care for. That's the one that kind of does a 1776, we're going to go out. You know that January 6th thing, where they're wearing camis and the eye patches. Those people, I think, oh, no. This is absolutely the worst. The worst. Period. Okay? Now, everybody has a group of people who represents them that they are not happy of. Okay? What do I mean by that? During the 60s, you had Martin Luther King, you had Malcolm X, and then you had H. Rap Brown, or Stokely Carmichael, or Eldridge Cleaver. The last scared people. The former didn't. It's very interesting how that thing worked. How that worked. Okay, it's just very interesting. What I want to do is I would like to address once and for all this, because I happen to be like most people. I think most people, we are this thing called pro-choice, meaning I don't want to put a woman in prison because she's had an abortion. I just don't want to. Sorry, call me old-fashioned. But I do not celebrate abortions. I don't laugh at abortions. They're not funny. I know there are people who are capital punishment advocates who don't necessarily laugh at somebody, like there was somebody they executed who may or may not have done it. In any event, when you laugh at it, it shows a ghoulish side. What I would do is I would say this, and remember, go back to Bernays. I would conflate this when you hear about a pro-choice and reproductive rights. I want you to think of the face of Planned Parenthood and watch this woman and listen carefully.
And make them stop. Talking about abortion makes many people profoundly uncomfortable. At dinner parties.
This is a Planned Parenthood pastor. This is a woman who is a Planned Parenthood pastor. Okay? Listen to her words.
In polite conversation with friends and family, and too often in church. Despite many people's profound discomfort with abortion, images, messaging, and moralizing about abortion are ubiquitous in our culture. Talking fetuses, aggressive bumper stickers, and saccharine billboards quoting scripture and invoking God's wrath pave our streets and plaster our highways. Politicians stump on the issue, and state legislatures spent the last 50 years working to control, regulate, and ultimately overturn Roe v. Wade. Their success was our failure. In the abortion imaginary, all people of faith are against abortion. This imaginary has colonized our minds.
Listen to the glee. Listen very carefully and understand what this would do to someone who's never met this before, who's never heard her before, who's never run into this before. How do we get this message out? By not having rallies. This is what I want. I would just call this is the face. And you know what? You could argue, well, is this true or not? And say, you tell me. You tell me whether it's true or not. You tell me whether it's true or not. And you remind me whether it's something that we need to deal with or not. Okay? Listen to her.
Traumatizing many people with its toxic theology and shaping a culture of stigma and shame that has silenced millions of women and people who have had abortions, erasing their voices, their stories, and their witness from the public sphere. As a child of God, I can certainly appreciate the lyrical beauty of this text, as well as the descriptions in Jeremiah and Job of their certain knowledge that God was with them in the womb. I too feel that I am known by God in these ways. As a woman who has borne 2 children, I can affirm that I felt something sacred happening in my gestating body during those pregnancies. I can also attest that I felt God's presence with me as I made the decision to end 2 pregnancies.
Really?
And I felt no guilt, no shame, no sin. While the liminal space of my womb and all fertile wombs represents the possibility of creating new life, if pregnancy and gestation are to remain holy mysteries, they require cooperation. A forced pregnancy or birth is not holy.
Let me ask you that very quickly. One word. What do you see when you see that? What do you think? When you see that, when you hear that, when you listen to her, when you see almost like the glee, the dare I say almost the inappropriate affect that is a part of this, what do you think? What is
2025 in our project 2025?
Trump's project 2025. You got to see this one in a moment. I'm going to show you this. But what do you think when you see this? A little focus group. What do you think? What do you think about that? Demon possessed. If you watch it, it was performed, you would be horrified. Devil in sheep's clothing. The exuberance is unsettling. Yes. Double talk. She is speaking with a split tongue. Thankful I'm not related to. Offended by everything. Embarrassed by nothing. Psychopathy. Well, maybe. New age Christian loony. Okay. Forced pregnancy. You know what? I'm so glad you said that. This is the best one. Liz said it best. Where is this forced pregnancy? There was a piece, you might see it. It's Vivek Ramaswamy on CNN, and they're talking about, well, you know, there's this woman who bled out in a parking lot, and he says, there's no evidence of that. It's never happened. There's no forced woman. What are you talking about? And he said, well, and she says, what about Haitians eating cats? He goes, you're changing the subject. So what I want people to do is, I want people to look at this. And this is what I want them to understand. Remember, this is what I want. This is Biden. This is Harris. Forget Biden. This is Harris. This is Kamala. Look what you get. You get this fellow. And by the way, the question someone said, I believe one of you fine folks asked the question, what kind of drugs do that? Nathan Shields, a good question. And Nathan Shield, it is something called xylazine. And xylazine is this depressant. It slows breathing, heart rate, lowers blood pressure. An overdose can put them into like a coma-like state, leaving them frozen and vulnerable. It's also called tranquilizine. It's the zombie drug. It's the most horrible thing you can imagine. Brian, thank you so much. Nathan says, no, thank that's awful. What was that guy on? Yep, xylazine. XYLAZINE. The Seinfeld, yes, thank you so much for that. The Brad, this was interesting. This was Brad's coded word, which I appreciate that. And so thank you for that one. So anyway, let me go on here. Let me see. There we go. Now, moving right along, children of God. This was another one too. This was a piece. This was from Bobby Kennedy. Now, Bobby Kennedy, Bobby's a very interesting guy. I don't know what to make with the story of the pictures. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think it really matters. He's not really running for anything, but that's that Kennedy thing. In any event, recently there was a CDC director, Robert Redfield, who was, I believe, Redfield or Redfield, but in any event, he was the CDC director. And Bobby Kennedy talks about meeting him recently.
Something that interesting that happened today, and I actually was going to mention this to Rand, because it was an extraordinary event to me. But Robert Redfield, who I really go after in my Fauci book, kind of a hammer and tongs, wrote an editorial in Newsweek magazine today saying that he was endorsing President Trump because President Trump was going to restore American health, and that President Trump, he said, a lot of people might surprise me to see this, but hear me say this, but he has chosen exactly the only person who can do this, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This was breathtaking to me because this is the guy who's the head of the CDC that I've been criticizing for years. And then this afternoon, he came over and had lunch with me. It's the first time I've ever met him. And the first thing he said to me is, you got everything right.
Wow.
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 And there you have that. That's one of those things. That's one of those emotions. How much do we get right during that terrible period of Rona? Remember that one? How many things do we get right? But, that's maybe something to be learned or thought about from the future. Now, this is something I wanted to share for you. This is something, remember what I said. Let me go back. I would put on steel. I would put on the xylazine fellow. I would put on these folks, and I would let people see once and for all a meme, an idea, a thought that I would just hit them over the head with. Very, very simple. No more rallies. These rallies are for you. They're for people like, wasn't that great? It doesn't. It's hit critical mass. We've habituated to it. It's like, yeah. I'm telling you. They're okay, but they're just a waste. This is what I will waste. This is not waste my time. This is what I will put my attention on. Okay, fine. That's that. And I would also explain to people this thing about how folks, I would just explain something. I would have, and I would talk to Elon. By the way, Georgia Maloney, if you don't see that, Maloney, Elon, and also the president of El Salvador, if you're not watching these incredible moments at the UN, and then that horrible, embarrassing Joe Biden slurred moment of whatever the hell that was. Okay. And by the way, pray for us in New York, because this is UNGA. This is the UN General Assembly. The one that I'll never forget was the biggest one. I think it was 95, maybe. This was when we had the Pope, Yasser Arafat, thrown out of Lincoln Center by Rudy because he had a gun. I mean, it was also the 50th anniversary of the UN and all of this. There was never anything, and New York somehow, worked. One of the reasons why we had actual lanes. Now we have all these lanes that are being destroyed by walking and bikes and parking, because they want to destroy travel. They want to go to some European method that started under Bloomberg. And they want people to become more and more dependent on public transportation and not driving. Okay, fine. I would start off by explaining a little bit about my murmuration. I would give them this a little bit of a kind of an explanation to just explain this is how human behavior works. And one of the things I would give them is, let me give you an example. This is called Project 2025. Now, a little background. If you don't know this, President Trump does not know what it is, never endorsed it, had nothing to do with it, but they swear he did. And watch how fast seemingly rational people can be placed into the position where they repeat it as though it's true. It's the most incredible thing anybody's ever seen. They repeat something to the point that it appears true. Watch this.
2025 and on Project 2025. Trump's Project 2025. Trump's Project 2025.
Project 2025.
Project 2025. Project 2025.
Project 2025.
Project 2025. Project 2025. Project 2025. Project 2025.
And Project 2025. Project 2025. Project 2025.
Project 2025. Project 2025.
Project 2025.
Project 2025.
The Project 2025.
Project 2025.
Project 2025.
Project 2025.
Project 2025. Project 2025. Project 2025. Trump's Project 2025.
Project 2025. Project 2025.
Project 2025. Project 2025. Project 2025.
Project 2025. What Project 2025?
Project 2025.
And he never said it. He never said it. Never said it once. Never endorsed it. Never ratified it. Never acknowledged it. Never mentioned it. Never. Never. It's like my thing. I told you when I was a kid, some friend of the family or somebody always told us about these weird people at carnivals called morphodites. He said, be careful, you out there, some guy, you go to a carnival, they got some guys out of town, there's a morphodite. You mean a hermaphrodite? No, a morphodite. You go, what is that? It's like a unicorn. What is I didn't even know what it is. Don't know, but that's what this is. And they repeat it over and over and over. He never said it. Not only that, we didn't even know what it is, but it goes to show you. And I would make it, I would destroy it. I would have 1 million people watch that. And I would have folks say, what is 2025? I have no idea. What does it mean? Everything they say, I would dispel it. Everything I would say. Look at this. Instead of light, the priestess shed darkness. She wouldn't think so. But the thing about it was, going back to that, I would make her the face of abortion legislation. Let them force them into saying, no, that's not us. Well, that's up to you now. We don't believe in Project 2025, and you throw it on that. How does it feel? Now, you're going to be doing this. I would use the power. Let me see if I can explain this again to you. Social media is more important than anything than Harris Faulkner. I'm sorry, or anybody else for that matter. Sam Whiskey says we're still living through Project 2020. Yes, very funny. Don't forget, what about Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030? Now, those were globalist UN positions as well. Anybody want to talk about that? Of course not. Of course not. Because nobody knew what it was then, and why should they know it now? And they don't really care about it now. And it's one of those things. If you're going to win an election, you're going to have to get out of the 80s. I don't know why we're doing this. I don't know what it is. The people that have not made up their mind have each of them a device or an access to a device like you cannot believe. Do you know anybody? And I know I'm going to ask a question. You're going to say, well, my cousin Dave. Everybody I know is on Facebook. Somebody's on Instagram. And the people that I want, Black folks, Latinos, and gays. Social media. Everybody else, you could just let me work on this. You want to talk about the battleground states? How about the battleground demographics? How about people who are just completely ignored altogether? This is wonderful. This should be, this is a wonderful thing that people believe in terms of going out on the hustings and trying to rekindle ways of old politicking. It's done. It's over. I would go on and specifically say, where's Kamala? Where is she? What's going on? Where is she? Thinks we're stupid. Let me talk to hip hoppers. Let me talk to black folks, black women, black men, black kids, black folks. Let that momentum start where somebody says, you know what? It's okay to say this. It's okay to say this. You have been, and you can either forget Trump, you can do it this way. You have been lied to by the Democratic Party throughout your adult lives. You have been lied to by these people. You have been lied to. You have been taken for granted. You have been put into the position where they think they own you. These are the modern political slave masters. They think somehow that, and by the way, if you really want to know, the people that they prefer are the illegals. I'm going to leave it at that. That's all. That's all, my friends. So, Sam Whiskey, Raul Rodriguez, Brian Ekdahl, Nathan Scheel, The Brad, Crypto Domini, thank you. Thank you. Pilgrim Media, Robert Penna, our new member. Also, dear friends, let me remind you of our two sponsors who have always been here with us, and the information is contained right in the description. Number one is preparewithlionel.com, the best, the absolute best emergency food supply house in the world, number one. Number two, mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. That simple. They have been with us, and we love them. And I'm not saying it just because they endorse us. I'm saying it because it's true. Don't forget to follow Mrs. L on Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. And don't forget, too, October the 26th. Let me tell you something. I promise you, it's something, it's in the cutting room here in New York City, 10 days before the election. It's the last time we will get to be together in a room, and the electricity and it's like nothing you've seen before. And our good friend Sam Whiskey says, smiling or laughing too much is a sign of submission in the animal kingdom. Also remember, smiling or laughing, first of all, laughing, they don't really laugh per se, but smiling is also a sign of baring your teeth and showing aggression. That's another story too, among many, many animals. Showing teeth is it. Noise and vocalizations are different. They don't laugh per se. Our laughing is we'll talk one day about laughing. Laughing can be fun. It can be approbation. It can also be sinister. It can also be nervousness. It's like crying. Crying can be sadness or it can be elation. Depends upon where you are and how you take it. All right, dear friends, thank you for being with us. Have a great and a glorious day. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. By the way, watch more videos coming up on Lionel Legal and later. The Diddy stuff is blowing up like you cannot believe. I don't believe, and I don't tend to talk about it now because there's some subjects that don't really work for us. And I found this out. Israel, Ukraine, AI, UFOs, and Diddy. For some reason, that's okay. So I stick more to politics and whatever. For those subjects, either go to my private channel at Lionel Media, where I can talk about those in depth, because the implications of these are enormous. That's number one, because Diddy, if ever there are somebody circling for something bad to happen, it's now. So Diddy, don't buy the green bananas. And also, Lionel Legal is my associated sister channel, so to speak. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. See you tonight at 7 p.m. But don't forget, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. That.